What up? This is Rama Screen, and in the anticipation of The Toll, which arrives in theaters and on demand and on digital March 26th, I'm here talking with the stars of this new film, Jordan Hayes and Max Topplin. How are you, Jordan and Max?
We're great.
Yeah, really good. How you doing, Rama?
I am well. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the film. I recently watched it, enjoyed it very much. I'm a fan of horror thriller in general, but this was really, really fun and very suspenseful. So, Jordan and Max, you've done horror movies prior to this. So, what was your reaction when you first read Michael's script? What was it about the script that you thought stands out or is unique in its genre?
So, I mean, as soon as we read it, it played into all of our fears that we experience on a daily basis. Interacting with these technologies that become so accustomed to, and really seeing them in a slightly new light and asking questions. So, I think because we could relate to it in our personal life almost on a daily basis, it immediately jumped out and said, "This needs to get made."
Yeah, I think it was that. It was also the characters. I think that Michael did a great job at creating, very dynamic, interesting characters. And because this is mostly a two-hander movie, it's mostly just Cammy and Spencer. I thought that that was really, really important. So from the acting side, it was also very interesting.
I'm always curious about the method that actors would use to get into their performance. I wonder, did you guys make sure that you guys never met until the first day of shooting to create that suspicion or tension between your characters? Or if that's not the case, then talk to me about the process of working to create that on-screen dynamic between Cammy and Spencer.
So it's very funny that you should say that, Rama. Jordan and I, we've been best friends and producing partners for the past 10 years. So we work together on almost a daily basis, actually for sure a daily basis. So going into this, we had so much logistical work to do to make this film happen that we were sharing those responsibilities, constantly working with each other. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, now you're Cammy and Spencer. And so it was an interesting experience to kind of take all of the anxiety and pressure of production and use it as actors. Really unique experience.
Yeah, I think that even though like we've known each other for 10 years, so we did have this inherent chemistry, we were able to use it to our advantage. Even though Cammy and Spencer are strangers in the film, they do bond over a certain amount of time. So we were able to use our relationship in real life as a little bit of fodder to be able to create that bond that Cammy and Spencer find.
What was it like shooting this film entirely at night? And did that experience kind of mess with your sleeping hours? Did that take a toll on you physically? Or were you enthusiastic about it because you were more of a night owl kind of person?
I think it definitely took its toll, no pun intended, for sure. But it was just so difficult. If we hadn't have been producers on it, I think it would have been much easier. You can get used to the sleeping patterns. But because every time we finished shooting at 7, 8 in the morning every morning, it was now time to produce the movie. We were calling our vendors, we were calling our accommodations, our gas provider, our Jenny fixer, our whatever it might have been. We had to do that during working hours. So, Jordan and I, we were sleeping maybe 3 hours a night and just somehow trying to keep this train moving. And thank goodness, like we got through it, but it was very difficult to do both produce and act.
Yeah, it was. I'm not a night owl. I love my sleep. It was difficult. I think that right now I can't imagine doing it, but when you're in the moment, you're just so in it, and if you love filmmaking, you're like, yeah, I'll sacrifice my body, I'll sacrifice my mind, whatever. I don't need sleep. But it was an arduous journey, but that made it all the more gratifying and satisfying in the end because we knew that we put so much on the line and we put everything that we had into it. So the sense of accomplishment when we finished was all the greater for it.
I've only done driving for Postmates and Uber Eats, mostly food delivery. I never did drive with passengers in the back because I have trust issues. So this movie definitely speaks to me. But how about you, Jordan and Max? When you step into an Uber or maybe drive an Uber or maybe do ride shares in general, do you often feel fear, concern or worry for your safety about either the driver or the passenger next to you? And do you think that that fear is more significant for women than it is for men?
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak of my own experiences. I've never really had any experience where I've felt in danger or not trusting of anyone. I think I've been very fortunate in that regard. Having said that, I have heard some pretty uncomfortable stories from friends of mine. And I think that, you know, that's a big comment of what this movie is saying, is that we just do have to be a little bit more, just more conscious of what we're doing. You know, if you are going to step into somebody's car, then know that you're stepping into a stranger's car. And yeah, I think for women, it's certainly just one of those kind of survival things where if something did go wrong, it's a little bit more difficult for a woman to maybe be able to defend themselves. So I think that women might be a little bit more cautious because of that. But I mean, that the same thing could go for a man too. So
Yeah, and you know, from my perspective, same thing. I generally trust people, and I feel like I've never had a bad experience. I've had like bad drivers or drivers that were off their rocker, but were they going to kill me? Not intentionally. And I feel like that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. When we were doing research on the film, I was still using rideshare on a daily to get to and from the meetings. That said, what I was looking at in the news feed was murders, you know, like sexual assaults, all of these things that are happening inside rideshares around the world on a daily basis. So I feel like does this movie say don't use these? No, this movie says absolutely, this has become a part of society. Just let's talk about it. You know, we jumped in so quickly into this new world. Let's open a conversation and understand our surroundings slightly better than we currently do.
So I'm gonna ask you the final question that I asked Michael. Is this movie gonna do to rideshare what Jaws did to swimming in the ocean?
I don't know. I mean, that's interesting because it's funny because I have friends who go diving with sharks and they're always advocating. I'm terrified of sharks, but they're always advocating of how there's this misconception about sharks, and maybe that is because of Jaws. So I don't know. Again, I think that there's, like Max said, we just wanted to spark a conversation and have people talk about it, and whatever conclusion everyone comes to is their own right, but we weren't trying to judge anything.
Yeah. And we still use these services on a daily ourselves. So it really is just about conversation, not about an opinion on the technology.
All right, for my fans at home, go check out The Toll, arriving in theaters and on demand and on digital March 26th. Jordan and Max, thank you for talking to me and congratulations.
Thank you, Rama.